When you live with someone long enough, you start to notice the tiniest shifts, things they don't say, the looks they avoid, the space that start to grow between your conversations. That's what it was like with Jordan, my boyfriend of almost 2 years. We moved in together because we thought it would bring us closer. But the reality is, it just gave us more ways to drift apart. We shared a 2-bedroom apartment with Noah, our roommate, who had just moved in a few months ago. At first, it was just convenient. Rent was cheaper, and we figured we'd barely see each other. Jordan was always working late, and I was mostly studying or freelancing from home. I didn't expect Noah to become a variable. Noah was different, outgoing, quick-witted, and always had something clever to say. He was a kind of person who could walk into a room and shift the entire energy just by existing. I noticed that about him right away, but I told myself it didn't mean anything. Jordan was distant lately, always distracted, glued to his laptop, saying he was tired when I reached for him in bed. We hadn't kissed, really kissed, in what felt like weeks. And every time I brought it up, he'd say, "I'm just stressed. Don't make it about us." So I stopped making it about us. I kept quiet, smiled when I had to, waited for things to change. Then came the night I planned a simple dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta, candles, and the two of us. I wanted to reconnect. Jordan texted me an hour before. Something came up. Don't wait up. I stared at the text for 10 minutes. The pasta got cold. I sat alone on the couch, unsure whether I should be sad or angry. And that's when Noah came out of his room. Hoodie, socks, tousled hair. He looked at the table, then at me. He ditched again. I nodded, trying to force a laugh, but it caught in my throat. Noah didn't say much. He just sat down and poured us both a glass of wine. "Well," he said, "no sense letting this go to waste." We ate, talked about movies, music, nothing serious. But it was the first time in weeks someone looked at me like I mattered, not just in passing, but like I was being seen. It didn't mean anything, I told myself. Just a roommate keeping me company. That's all. The days went by, and the distance between me and Jordan kept growing. The moments with Noah didn't. They got longer, warmer. One morning, I was making coffee when Noah came out of the shower, bare chest, towel low on his hips. He walked past me without saying a word. I froze. My eyes lingered too long, and I hated myself for that. I started feeling things I wasn't supposed to feel. I wasn't acting on them, but they were there. Quiet, creeping thoughts. The kind you pretend not to have. I tried to spend more time with Jordan, planned another night in. He promised he'd be there. But again, work pulled him away. Again, I was left alone. Again, it was Noah who filled the silence. That night, I couldn't sleep. I got up around 2 a.m. to grab water and saw a soft light coming from the living room. Noah was curled up under a blanket, watching an old black and white movie on mute. He looked peaceful, like he belonged in that stillness. "Can't sleep either?" he asked, looking up. I shook my head and sat down beside him. We didn't talk much, just watched the movie in silence. But at one point, our fingers brushed on the couch. I should have moved mine away, but I didn't. The movie ended, but neither of us got up. I felt his gaze on me. My heart beat louder than the sound in the room. And when he finally stood and said goodnight, I felt colder than I should have. Back in bed, I lay beside Jordan, watching his back rise and fall as he slept. He was right there, but I felt a million miles away. Something was changing. I was changing, and I couldn't tell if it scared me or thrilled me. The next morning, I avoided both of them. I couldn't look Jordan in the eye, not because I had done something wrong, but because I hadn't yet, and that made it worse somehow. Noah was casual, as if nothing had changed. Maybe for him, nothing had. Maybe that brush of our fingers meant nothing. Or maybe it meant everything, and he just wore it better. Jordan barely noticed a shift in me. Or if he did, he didn't say anything. He was halfway out the door before I could even say good morning. His phone already pressed to his ear, mumbling something about deadlines and deliverables. That evening, he texted, going straight to the office dinner. "Don't wait up." I didn't even feel the sting anymore. It had become routine. Like knowing the elevator always takes longer than you want it to. You just learn to wait. Noah cooked dinner that night. Stir-fry. He wasn't wearing a shirt under his open flannel. I kept my eyes on the stove. He handed me a plate. Our fingers brushed again. This time, I pulled away, too fast. He noticed. "You okay?" he asked, almost smiling. I nodded, lying. We ate on the couch, watching a dumb comedy neither of us cared about. I laughed too loud. He leaned closer. Every inch between us felt like a decision I was trying not to make. And then it happened. He turned to me and said, "Can I ask you something?" I looked at him. "Why are you still with him?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" "He's never here. He doesn't see you. You deserve more than being half-loved." I should have pushed back. I should have defended Jordan. I should have said something. But I just sat there, quiet, because a part of me, the part one didn't want to admit existed, agreed with him. Noah didn't wait for an answer. He leaned in slowly, like he was giving me time to stop him. I didn't move. I let it happen. His lips were soft, patient, testing me. I kissed him back. Just once. Then I pulled away. Stood up too fast, knocking the empty bowl off my lap. It hit the floor with a sharp clang. "I can't," I said, backing away. "This isn't right." He didn't chase me, just sat there, still, watching me unravel. I locked myself in my room that night. Jordan came home around midnight. I pretended to be asleep. He didn't try to wake me. But pretending only works for so long. The next few days blurred. Jordan was home even less. Noah and I avoided being alone, but the tension lived in the corners. Every glance, every touch, every time our shoulders brushed in the hallway. It was there. Then one night, Jordan said he'd be gone late, again. I don't know what I was expecting to happen. Maybe I thought I could handle the silence. But when Noah knocked on my door with a bottle of wine and that stupid, perfect smake, I didn't say no. We talked. We laughed. I told myself it was innocent. It wasn't. The second time he kissed me, I didn't pull away. We crossed a line. Fully. Repeatedly. I told myself I deserved this. That I was just lonely. That it was Jordan's fault for leaving me alone in a relationship. But none of those lies could quiet the voice in my head reminding me I was still in one. It didn't stop there. We tried to be discreet, careful. But the universe, or maybe karma, had other plans. The first time Jordan almost caught us, he came home early. We were just sitting on the couch, far apart, pretending nothing had happened. But my shirt was inside out, and Noah's hair was still wet from the shower we'd just shared. Jordan looked between us, narrowed his eyes, but said nothing. The second time, he forgot his keys. Walked in mid-laugh while Noah had his hand on my knee. I yanked my leg back so fast I knocked over my glass. He didn't see that part. Or maybe he did. He just smiled too tight and went straight to his room. The third time, we weren't so lucky. He opened the door without knocking. We weren't fully exposed, but we weren't innocent either. No one said anything for 3 full seconds. Then he closed the door. Quietly. Too quietly. I stood there, half-dressed, heart pounding. Noah whispered, "Should we go talk to him?" But I already knew. The damage was done. And suddenly, the silence wasn't comfortable anymore. It was damning. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Jordan. He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He didn't even knock on my door. That silence, it said more than anything he could have screamed at me. It was heavy, cold, final. In the morning, I heard drawers opening, hangers sliding, a suitcase being zipped. I walked into the hallway just in time to see him stuffing the last of his clothes into a duffel bag. "Jordan." He looked up, eyes swollen but dry. "Don't. Just don't insult both of us." I took a step closer. "Please, let's talk." "We haven't talked in months, Ethan. We've barely existed." His voice didn't rise. It cracked, like something had broken inside, and he didn't have the energy to fix it anymore. I knew something was off. I just didn't want to believe it. My throat tightened. It didn't mean. "Don't finish that sentence," he said, picking up his keys. If it didn't mean anything, then I meant nothing. That stopped me cold. Noah stood behind me in the hallway. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. Jordan didn't even look at him as he walked out the door. Just like that, he was gone. I stood there for a long time after, staring at the closed door like it might open again if I wished hard enough. But it didn't. Noah came up beside me. "I'm sorry." I didn't answer. We didn't talk much that day. Or the next. Or the next. For a while, it was just quiet. Still. Heavy. He tried to lighten the mood. Played music. Cooked dinner. Tried to pull me back into the warmth we had shared so briefly. But it wasn't the same. The spark we had, whatever it was, only burned because it was forbidden. Now that it wasn't, it felt hollow, like a story that had already ended but refused to admit it. One night, about a week later, we sat on the couch again. The same couch where it all started. He reached for my hand. I let him hold it, but I didn't squeeze back. "I thought maybe now we can be real," he said softly. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I saw the truth. Noah wasn't a villain. He wasn't the bad guy in this story. Neither was Jordan. Maybe I wasn't either. Or maybe we all were. I pulled my hand away. "Noah, you weren't the problem," I said. "But you weren't the solution either." His smile faded. "We were a reaction," I continued, "not a choice." He didn't argue. He just nodded once, got up, and walked away. He moved out a few weeks later. We didn't fight. We didn't cry. We just unraveled. The apartment felt bigger after that. Colder. I started closing doors behind me, even when I was the only one home. I stopped cooking. Stopped watching movies at night. I filled the silence with noise, music, podcasts, background TV. But none of it mattered, because some silences aren't about sound. They're about absence. I thought about texting Jordan 100 times. Wrote and deleted message after message. I wanted to say sorry. I wanted to explain. But the truth is, explanations are for people who still want to fix things. And maybe he didn't. Maybe I didn't, either. Some things break in ways that can't be glued back together. I started going for long walks at night. No destination, just movement. I passed by cafes we used to visit. The park where we first kissed. A small grocery store where Jordan once bought flowers after our first fight. I walked by all of them. I didn't stop. One night, I sat on a bench by the water and said it out loud for the first time. I cheated. The words felt strange in the air. Ugly. True. I wasn't proud. I wasn't relieved. I was just honest. For once. I still think about Jordan. I probably always will. And sometimes I think about Noah too, what we could have been if things were different. If I had met him first. If I hadn't been so lost. But stories don't work that way. Life doesn't rewind. It only plays forward. And now, I'm just a man living in a quiet apartment, learning how to be alone again. But at least, this time, I'm not lying to anyone. Not even myself.